Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's been a while since I've been on. There's been a lot of things that have happened recently, especially all in the news and everything that could be covered maybe in another video. I've been going through some shit, I guess you'd call it, for the last 3 or 4 months, and my outlook on this place has kind of changed drastically, maybe even from the last video. All the stuff I've done for the iPet Goat 2 I think stays the same and seems to be playing out as we see in the world. But I'd like to take a different stance here with this video and talk about our realm, which I've come to see as the Matrix, very linked to the movie. So I'm going to go through this. It might be all over the place, but stick with me. Like I say, you can judge after if you want. Some of this you might not like or agree with. There was stuff I presented about Christianity and stuff in the previous videos that I'd like to kind of go over and try to explain in a different view set, whatever you want to call it, based on new things I've heard, new investigations I've done. So let's get into this. First thing I just want to say, recommending channels. I won't likely be doing this anymore. I think a lot of these channels, just like humans, become trapped in specific channels, literally channels, and they have a tough time breaking out of that and then looking at, say, a bigger picture or anything else that comes in. They'd make excuses why it's not possible, etc. Okay, so I think it's up to you guys to recommend your own channels. I mean, share them, but don't become locked in a channel yourself. Okay. First thing I want to talk about, I think we do live in this matrix or quote unquote hell, if you want to call it. We seem to be living in a constructed environment designed to trap people, spiritual individuals, spiritual souls, however you want to call it, into this materialistic and even the astral construct. Okay, so instead of just locking this matrix and calling it, the material realm we see outside, I think it goes far beyond that into even this astral construct that we think when we go into dreamland or we quote unquote astral project. I think that this is just another, it's part of the same matrix that's just on a different frequency. So the whole concept here that I've come to realize over years and years is it's designed to generate energy. The energy going to who, going to what, it's up to interpretation, but it seems to be there's some sort of background thing that needs polarity, and it's very specific on this word polarity, that is used to generate energy from humans, from animals, from any sort of living being in this matrix. So polarity manifests itself in humans and animals through typically emotions, and this is due to the programming that we've been given with these body suits, these meat suits, whatever you want to call them, and this brain that we have and the DNA that runs through our body that quote unquote looks like coding in itself. So polarity, manifests with emotions in love and hate, right? Suffering or pleasure, happy and sad. And I want to throw this out and say the opposite of this polarity, to stop generating this energy for whoever it is, for the matrix, is to look for sameness, oneness, stability, and contentment. And don't change my words in saying that this is this move towards 5D or whatever, we'll have to become one and all this. It's about in yourself finding this contentment so you stop pushing polarity out. Now there's a whole talk of, if you talk about people about the matrix or hell realm, soul trap type channels, the opposite to that is it's a question of is this a school, right? Are we living in a school that's teaching us something? Now I can understand a school is supposed to help you learn something, but why the 50 to 80 years of constant suffering and constant battery on our soul? Why is that necessary? If we needed a school for spiritual beings to learn something, why would we not have why wouldn't quote unquote God, okay, you can choose this word however you want, whatever's you think that you were created from, why wouldn't there have been created scenarios that wouldn't require years and years of pain to learn, but you'd be put in these scenarios where you would be able to learn these quote unquote things you need to understand or concepts you need to come to on a very much shorter time span that isn't what we see outside, the constant barrage of suffering, okay? And this leads into the unlimited suffering that we see in this matrix. So the predominant emotions and feelings here are negative, right? Physical, emotional trauma. I think these are, trauma in itself is trauma. Now, physical trauma is a temporary type thing, but it also induces long-lasting trauma, which can turn into sustained emotional trauma, which is more of this energy polarity where you're not content, you're constantly strained, you're constantly tugged. Now, childhood, most people, literally almost anybody you talk to will say, I was induced with trauma as a child. And this is not by mistake in this matrix we live in. In primary school, I was told the sun will eventually explode and kill all of us. The climate disaster is going to destroy our planet. Like, what benefit, except for emotionally traumatizing people and creating this lifelong suffering of worry and stress and all this, does this have? Has no purpose. And then you get into adulthood, and it's constant bombardment, right? News, war, famine, financial stress, constantly distracted with whatever horse, they want to throw at you. The 9-to-5 grind, never being allowed any time to actually sit back, observe, and figure out what we're actually living in, what the purpose or meaning of anything is. You got maladies or like sicknesses, right? Constantly sick, constantly hungry. We're always starving. We're always need to be eating. And of course, debt slavery, don't get me started. That is the one thing in this world I can't stand. It is a constant just barrage of, you won't even be able to get food, which grows naturally unless you pay and pay and pay and pay. Now, don't even look at the animal kingdom then, because it's essentially a giant meat grinder. And yeah, it does seem that the animals do contain some form of a trapped spiritual or some sort of spiritual being. You can look at any of these animals that, if you have pets, these things feel fear, they feel love. So this isn't just an energy sucking type system for us humans. You have to look at the animal kingdom as well. Now, when we move into the feelings of joy, happiness, and love, right, this is the opposite side. This is one side of the polarity scale. So you see Monsters, Inc., right? The whole concept of the movie is they're sucking bad energy, and then they find that, if you show love to these kids and you can suck bad energy out, they're still sucking the energy, no less, but that energy is more powerful. So these are also included in the matrix as they generate a lot of energy. But the matrix, whoever the architect is, and we'll get into the architect, I find that these must be kept in check because these feelings lead to the trapped souls here sharing, caring, and ultimately, or possibly, understanding that the matrix is our prison, because these feelings are the ones that that feel good and start opening us up to the fact that what we're living in is not conducive to our soul. Now you hear these quotes, right? I don't feel bad all the time. I've been given this. I've gone through, therapy. I've gone through depression. Okay, I'll open up to you guys with some of this stuff eventually. But it's like I'm always told, oh, you don't feel bad all the time. You love your family and your friends. Therefore, it can't be hell. It can't be so bad. It's not all. This is the quote. It's not all that bad. And my whole concept of this is, it is. Like, you get these feelings of joy and happiness, but they're not, it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel like contentment, okay? Contentment is this middle ground where these things are all in balance, and this place is not a balance. It's one or the other. So let's get into what I seemingly feel like I've defined as this matrix, and it includes the material and the astral realm. So at some level above all this, something had to create this matrix. And it seems like someone does have, or something, I'm not going to say someone, something has direct control on all aspects here. Material, astral, dreamland, whatever you want to call the astral realm. And a lot of people in this matrix trap sort of thing seem to stop at this, say that the matrix stops at the material experience. Why do you not think that it's all this astral plane as well? We can only see the materialistic aspect of the prison, okay, through our human suits that they've given us, until our soul is liberated from the suit, and then we can go into dreamland or astral projection or even drug hallucinations. And you go into this other kind of realm. Can't say I've done drug hallucinations, but all the reports I've read, I'm obsessed with trip reports, okay, all this sort of thing. And all these beings in this other astral plane that seem to be able to interact with you. Now, what we see in these astral planes can, just as our materialistic side here that we see our prison set up, could be, the astral plane could be designed and controlled in the exact same way. And there's no reason to say that it isn't. You think, oh, it's my brain doing the thinking. It's me, creating this. How do you know? Maybe you're just the soul going into that astral plane, and that is what it wants to show you. Now, can souls be trapped also in these astral plane bodies? So all this talk, the ghost hunting, ghosts, I don't know what you guys think, but there seems to be this weird thing of like animals can see them, children can see them until their soul's kind of broken by the materialistic, barrage of crap that it feeds us. But these ghosts, like, what if when you finish your materialism or, your materialistic existence, and you try and go somewhere and you're played some sort of trick where you get locked into some astral plane body, and you're no longer in this materialistic realm exactly, but you're kind of in between. Now let's look at, like, if you think about the movie The Matrix, I don't know a movie that is more extreme and somehow rings true in so many aspects of it. So, like, when you look at the Matrix movie, the Matrix itself is the astral plane. Like Neo, like they're plugging in and they're in this dream state, which is the Matrix. And the Matrix is completely controlled. And then they wake up into Zion, but Zion is like the material realm. And both of these realms are controlled by the machines and the architect. The architect doesn't just exist in the Matrix. He created the Matrix, but he also exists in the materialism to create suffering in both of these realms, to create this energy harvesting in both of the places. Now, the curious thing with this place that we have is this electromagnetic spectrum. Sorry, this picture is absolutely crap. But it's like we see like this fraction of this entire realm is this little fraction of energy, right? The electromagnetic spectrum. So this whole thing is controlled though. That's what I mean, like the whole matrix is this whole thing. So we see this, which is our material realm. What is all of this and all of this at the other ends of the spectrum? Is this the astral planes that you can get trapped into? I've always found this electromagnetic spectrum and like, you can only see a part of it, okay? Now, the next thing I want to talk about is this reincarnation trap. And you can call it what you want, soul trap, reincarnation trap, but there seems to be, this matrix seems to work only if there are these spiritual beings that are helping to generate it, okay? I love this channel called Quantum of Conscious, okay? He's been around for, it's Matt McKinley from Quantum of Conscience. And I think he's got a great look on this and saying that we are true spiritual beings here, and it's us that are needed to generate what's around us. Okay, like the architect can put in the ideas or whatever, but then they need souls to generate the power, the true power for the matrix, for it to function. The belief in it. And of course, all this energy seems likely to be providing food or some sort of energy for the architect or the creator. I mean, energy, beings are putting out the energy while it's going somewhere. It could be collected, being used to generate the next iteration of the matrix. And we'll get into all of that. It's going to be a bit of a long video. So at death, when we leave our material realm and enter some sort of astral plane, right? We're told that like all of these NDEs, the near-death experiences, that people like when they die, they go into this other realm and they see this like this light. And then maybe they talk to God. And it seems like these reincarnation traps, or these, what I would call the reincarnation trap, is once you leave, is how does the system keep you here? Right? How does the matrix keep you here? Well, it seems like the traps are tailored to your life experience. And you can talk with these NDEs, and they all have kind of slightly the same, but slightly different, right? For Christians, it's like, oh, I go into the light, and then, I got to talk with God, or their concepts is, I will be judged by my God. Did I do enough? Maybe I didn't do enough. Oh, then I have to go back for a second chance because I wronged somebody or I didn't listen to the exact teachings of, Jesus or the church or whatever. And then you get into Eastern religions. Karma is not fulfilled. Go into the light, back into your next reincarnation because you have, you haven't fulfilled your karma. So good luck next time. So going into the light seems to be this portal back into this trap, and they will do anything and everything that it seems to encourage you to walk through that enticing light. Now, on this, I don't know whether do you turn away from the light and go into the dark? I don't know. I just saw a video literally last night where it's like everybody talks about not going into the light, but what are you going to walk into the darkness, or like I don't know. I think at that time of death, you have to be ready enough to just say, whatever comes will come, but I'm not doing this anymore. I'm done. So whether that's sitting still and letting these things try and entice you or talk to you, all this, I'm not sure. We'll have to get into this in further videos if I follow up on this. But religion to me, as I've come in the last, I'd say 6 months, because I know my last video was very much on this Satan's Little C's and Christianity thing, okay? And I'll talk about that. But religion seems to promote humanity to not fight the matrix, right? This concept that your God is looking out for you. For Christians, I mean, the teachings are the meek shall inherit the earth. God is coming soon to save you. Just wait a little longer. Just wait a little bit longer. Eastern religions, of course, your karma's not fulfilled. I mean, you could go, I'm not totally in on all of the religions because I find them quite disgusting with what they've done to with what they've done to people in terms of creating trauma and suffering. And it seems that the places in the world where religion and belief in God seems to be like where belief in this God and this, something is looking out for me seem to be the hardest hit. And they seem to be the easiest to control and contain without resistance because it's like, well, there's somebody out there looking out for me, so I can take on this suffering because God wanted me to suffer, however you want to spin it. Presidents, I mean, they push this message. We are a Christian nation. God save America. So we're going to torture Americans and all this, but we're looking out to say that God will save us. We just have to wait a little longer. So here comes my question for Christians and religious people. And this is a major thing that I don't know what's the word. I can't understand it and I can't reconcile it. That's what I'm looking for. I can't reconcile this in my head and say that this is okay. How can you believe that you have an almighty God who has infinite power, who created you, who designed this place for his beloved creation, is simply so full of suffering and trauma? And don't use the excuse of free will. Oh, humans got the free will, so they're doing it to themselves. And no, you can't do that. He created us. So your God supposedly has created this Garden of Eden where there is no suffering or even a concept of good and evil. So, sorry, your God could have created a Garden of Eden, right? Which is told in the Bible like, oh, it was created, but then you were kicked out. Like, okay, I don't understand. Like, you created us, and then you chose to put us into complete suffering. Because this Garden of Eden concept where all the animals live together, where there's contentment, there's not extremes of polarity. Why are we not there? Why have we been kicked out? And don't tell me sin. You're born into sin. Give me a break. Give me an absolute break on that. Come on. So where beings could live peacefully and contently. Now look at the food chain. Don't look any further than the food chain. It's a full-on meat grinder. So you're telling me your God created this place where every living being, from all the way down to the smallest, all the way up to the biggest, are in a food chain, literally a chain. Like if you listen to the word food chain, it's literally a chain. You're chained to this meat grinder suffering insanity. Why? It's to generate the polarity and this like sort of energy for the system. But how can you Christians and stuff believe that your God is good and did this for you? Makes no sense. Makes absolute no sense. And this is my major question. This is why over the last 6 months I haven't really posted, because even the channels I recommended in that, I can't even listen to them anymore because it's so in one channel of thinking, and it's like you can't tell them something or they just go, oh, it's demons. Okay. So I mean, I might lose people here. It's up to you whether you want to follow along. So the Bible and other important texts. Anything materialistic in this matrix, by definition, could be created, modified, and deleted by the controller or the designer or the architect. So critical writings are no exception. The Bible, like, no one had to actually write any of it. It seems so divinely inspired. You know, all these books all link back. I mean, if you look at the linkings between all the books, it's so perfectly created in the sense that either some creator or architect created it, or somehow potentially, okay, these old buildings where you'd have, the energy collection of the design of the churches or whatever, where some architect or God could speak to the humans to tell them what to write through some sort of voice of God type technology or vibration, whatever you want to call it. Now, the Bible, which I can't stand in some of its ways, is that it teaches meekness. Turn the other cheek. Jesus is coming to save you. Just wait a little longer. Okay, I've gone over this. I won't repeat it. And even the new Satan's Little Season is just like, it's another iteration of Jesus will be back soon to fight Satan, right? Oh, you believe that Satan's coming, or Jesus is coming to rapture you and save you. Okay, well, everybody went down that channel for years, and now it's like, oh, we needed something new because we're all suffering so bad. So, let's look at Satan's going to come back for a little season, so the suffering will just be for a little time, and then we'll be okay. It's the same constant iteration message. So just endure the suffering is the ultimate message of religious texts. And Jesus' teachings are just as polar, right? There's good and evil. By encouraging his followers to act and only act on good is the same as creating polarity and not trying to live contently. Now, on these Jesus' teachings, okay, I'm going to follow up with this Nag Hammadi scriptures. Everyone in the soul trap community has gone into finding this Gnostic Christianity, this Gnostic type of translation from religion. And it turns the teachings of Jesus into a more practical interpretations with regards to this matrix. This seems to be the stuff that makes the most sense to me so far. And it's the concept that a demiurge created this realm we're living in based on the fall of Sophia or whatever. And there's archons that are kind of the worker bees of the demiurge, or what you could call Satan, whatever. And Jesus did come back in some form to provide us with information and teachings to try and awaken our souls to this trap, right? These archons, this demiurge. So the teachings, some of the teachings of Jesus, like, they're all spoken in parables, so a lot of people take them literally. And sometimes, parables are spoken in parables so that they aren't taken literally. Right? That's the concept of a parable. Like, it's not just what you see on paper, it's something deeper. So, if you want to look into some of the stuff, there's like Carl Jung, the philosopher, and you can choose it if you want, but there's parts of this too where I have issues. It's just like another trap where it like fear, you're supposed to fear these. There's these archons and this demiurge, which are more powerful in this place that you live. So, it's kind of some fear-inducing type stuff. But for my sense, it's kind of like you're being able to see through this matrix and say, there's something else. There's something in me that's a spiritual being that is being somehow trapped and being sucked on. And if you have the energy, take the steps to fight these and try and live the best life you can here in an effort to eventually get out of here. Now, material traps. So the material traps, like the common 99% of the people out there, right? They're trapped with these material traps, like religion. When you were born into sin, born with karma, you must fix, you must atone for all this stuff. It's disgusting. Your memory's wiped, so you don't even know what you've done in the past, and you have no idea what you need to really fix. So much about that. You need to spend your entire life working to fix this so that you can, go up and be judged by your God and hope that you, guessed the right path. Then you get into distractions. So all this old architecture and historical documents that could have been created during the last matrix reset, and I will talk about the matrix resets, it's very important, to ensure the population takes longer and longer to understand the prison system through constant distractions. So all these things are up here so that you never it's like, oh, you want to learn the old architecture? Well, spend the next 5 to 10 years looking at old architecture instead of like stepping back and saying, why is it there? It's like research anything and you'll find yourself going down these rabbit holes and never actually ending anywhere. And, it doesn't help that we're at the 9 to 5 grind, this constant work debt slavery, and no time to investigate the root of our existence. Or, in my thing, is you can't spend time with their loved ones or friends or anything to share the information of our suffering so that we all realize, why is it all happening to every single one of us? There's not one of us that's exempt from it. Emotions, relationships, and love is another trap, okay? It's disgusting to say, it really is, but the Matrix has weaponized love and relationships as another tool to make sure you endure lifelong suffering, polarity. You can't leave, like this whole thing of like you can't leave or you would destroy the lives of the ones you love. So, I mean, you want to call that kind of a trap. I don't suggest you do any of that, okay? I'm not telling you that this taking yourself out or anything it's not the way out. You can choose your own, but I am not pushing that message. So why would you investigate or talk about this matrix as a soul trap when there are people who love you? How could this be a matrix if love exists? And it's always shut down, right? If you start talking to somebody and they're like, well, I don't want to talk about that. It makes me sad to talk about that, the fact that we could all be suffering and there's some sort of bigger play at happen. Now this astral plane, I don't get this, where people get trapped into this star seeds and aliens and Pleiadians and all this. These astral plane traps, I call them. So when I said before, when you dream, do you think you leave this place? I don't think so. Or does your meat suit just need time to refresh and your soul wanders into this astral plane only to still be trapped and susceptible to whatever matrix has designed this astral plane? So these so-called star seeds who think they are part of some intergalactic group destined to save humanity, it is the craziest thing. Meeting the white beings who are all-powerful and speak directly to you, satisfy your egotistic notion that you are so special. It's just like any other trap where it's like you're so special and we need you to come back. We need you to come back to help wake other people up. Talk to old loved ones, channeling. It's all going to be okay. We will watch out for you. Like, who is watching out for you? Who is actually speaking to you? Ask the question. And then we get into death traps. So when you die, you see the light. NDEs and hallucinogenic experiences describe this overwhelming feeling of just pure happiness, love, and good. Right? Opposite to the horrible shitstorm that you get every day out in this place. This is simply polarity in the opposite in order to gain your trust. It's just the complete polar opposite. So real life was so destructive, but here I feel good. So this is where I must belong. I must walk into this great feeling of light. You may even get to speak with God. And then during this meeting or event, you might be asked, in order to help God or help others or be a messiah, right? Work on your ego. You're special. You need to be a spiritual guide. You need to be, like, even this into the astral plane is, you need to be a spiritual guide and become like a ghost where you can help others. And then you can get trapped in the astral plane and not just the specific material realm. But you're still in the matrix at this time. It seems like whoever's talking to you has power to tell you whatever they want to show or tell you. Walk into the light portal. Come be with me in heaven. You will experience no more pain or suffering. Well, are there rules in heaven? Are you allowed to do what you want in heaven? How do you know? All love and no opposite is not contentment. Okay, not contentness, but contentment. And I don't know another word that better suits the fight of this polar opposite polarity is contentment, oneness, stability. Polar states never stay stable. The architect from the Matrix said this: the first Matrix I designed was quite naturally perfect. It was a work of art, flawless, sublime. A triumph equaled only by its monumental failure. The inevitability of its doom is as apparent to me now as a consequence of the imperfection inherent in every human being. Thus I redesigned it based on your history to more accurately reflect the varying grotesqueries of your nature. I mean, you can't create this naturally perfect thing. You can't create a matrix where you trap somebody and expect there to be contentment. So the matrix had to be created where it creates this polar thing so that the humans can get this some sense of, polarity, which creates the energy. But what we need is content. You need to look for contentment, oneness, and stability. And then there's egotistic traps and love in the matrix, right? Like the 1%, the architect has designed a society where the top 1% can provide the necessary suffering for the 99%. And the top 1%, if you look at them all, they're all the same. They're promoted, they're manipulated to perpetuate the matrix and its suffering, right? Money, all the disgusting stuff with the children stuff that's come out. You can have anything you want. It's so repulsive. And this is Cypher from the Matrix. This is what the Matrix was showing is Cypher. Oh, I want to come back and be popular or rich and famous. They're the easiest ones to convince. Upon death, you just have to be, these 1%ers just have to be offered another position of control, and they'll jump at it, which helps the Matrix perpetuate the suffering and control mechanism. The easiest ones to take care of are these guys. Now let's talk about matrix balance. So the matrix needs trapped souls. These are soul beings to generate energy. But if a soul wakes up and leaves, they're lost energy source for good. So the matrix must ensure this balance is kept in check. Killing of their own livestock is sometimes required to keep this matrix in check. So, you see people getting murdered and stuff. It's necessary to make sure that the whole system doesn't collapse. So the architect, right? Please, as I was saying, she stumbled upon a solution whereby nearly 99% of all test subjects accepted the program, as long as they were given a choice, even if they were only aware of the choice at a near unconscious level. So there is no choice. While this answer functioned, it was obviously fundamentally flawed, thus creating the otherwise contradictory systemic anomaly that, if left unchecked, might threaten the system itself. Ergo, those who refuse the program, while a minority, if unchecked, would constitute an escalating probability of disaster. So they can give you some sort of seemingly choice, which free will to open your brain up to investigate and think. It's the only way the matrix works, but they control all of that awakening. You talk about I've seen through I've learned this new thing of the matrix, the constant truther journey. You don't think it's been designed so that you walk through these so that you think that you're finding fundamental truths. So, you can even look at all this presentation and say the same thing. It's up to you. But denial is the most predictable of all human responses. But rest assured, this will be the 6th time we have destroyed it, and we've become exceedingly efficient at it. 6th time they've destroyed it. So let's talk just quickly about what can you trust in this place. Who can create original copies? So who can you rely on to talk about any of this stuff to try and wake up to get out of here? I personally think that we can only rely on things that were created by souls, by spiritual beings, since the last reset of the Matrix. You can't trust anything that was done before the last reset. So after a reset, major alterations to anything could be done to the limit of not causing mass subconscious disturbances. Okay, so what I'm saying here is, say there's a reset like in the Matrix, right? Where he's like, oh, we've reset it to the year 2000. Everything in the Matrix is created. Like, no humans in the Matrix built all those buildings, built the system, built the text that they read. It was literally created after the reset. So you can't go and read in the Matrix any sort of texts or books before the year 2000 because it was created by the Matrix to be there on purpose. Now, this whole thing about major alterations to anything, you can't, the system, when it resets, it can't create such great changes from the previous way that the souls were living if they're reincarnated back, because if there's too much change, it causes like mass subconscious disturbance. And this is where we start talking about the Mandela effect, where people are noticing things and they're like, hold on a second, things are slightly changing too much to the point where we're all recognizing it. So my concept is souls are the only, like, spiritual souls, okay, us, wherever you want to call us, right? I'll call them spiritual souls, are the only thing that can create anything, like originality. And when you talk about the new AI, AI is the worst possible thing to ever happen to us, okay? It is disgusting on so many levels. AI is only capable of recreation, duplication, and destruction. It can't create originality. So once a soul introduces a thing into this matrix, though, unfortunately, the matrix can now copy and paste it to its desire, to whatever end it wants to. So this is where I come to this old architecture, this seeming, 1,000-year reign of Christ. Cathedrals, right, everywhere. Souls, like a spiritual soul before the end of that reset, before the end of that matrix time, souls only had to create the first real one. So a whole group of people could have gotten together and said, we want to create something beautiful, and they built one of those beautiful cathedrals with all the, immaculate designs, and they created from their soul. Then the reset happens, and then the matrix says, like during the reset, they go, oh, we could just copy and paste these things throughout the realm to create a new distraction or trap, and then we'll write it into, say, the text to say, well, there was a 1,000-year reign where it was all glorious and everything, and that's why we have all of these buildings all across the world that are all seemingly from the same, civilization, the same time period. But it's no more than just like, they can just do a copy paste. And that's why in my soul, when I look at all the old architecture, I go, it doesn't connect. And I think that this is our soul's ability to say and look at things and go, there's something wrong with that. It's like the uncanny valley thing, right? The uncanny valley is that it's not original. It's not a created soul thing. It's something duplicated or manipulated. And this collective consciousness / subconsciousness, whatever you want to call it, I don't think the matrix can alter our past, or during the resets can change too much from what we were previously shown, because we seem to share some sort of shared consciousness, subconsciousness, whatever you want to call it. So if they change it too much, we automatically, our souls reject it. We're like, it's uncanny valley. It's not right. And this is why old stories ring true. I think that we have in our DNA, whatever you want to call it, or something's passed on as we're reincarnated to say we can connect with things that were in the past. And that's why when we see things, we go, I can relate to that and connect to it. Now, this word empathy, I think empathy is like a telltale sign of a true spiritual being. Because are you empathetically able to connect with other people, with other souls? Is the sign of like the NPC, right? The human NPC. And I'd put that out to the Matrix that, of course, they have people walking around that are NPCs. I mean, look at the Matrix. You got all the agents walking. anybody can be taken over and become an agent, right? There's some people that are out there that might not be the spiritual being. Neo, when they connect in, can't be taken over by an agent because he's the spiritual being. But anybody else that's kind of not a spiritual being can be just taken over. And so is the sign of an NPC the lack of this empathy? Empathy helps with the awakening to the Matrix, I'm telling you. Like all of this, I'm not even going to say it, it's so disgusting. It's literally so disgusting. I'm taking it out. People are finally empathizing enough to wake up to the fact that this place is truly demonic. And it's this empathy of saying, I can put myself in your shoes and understand your suffering, which awakens my ability to look at this whole place and go, it is so messed up. I'm going to quickly jump into this dreams state where our subconscious seems to flutter into emotional and visual states. I think dreams are kind of a training tool if you want to use them that way. I said that they're part of the astral plane, but there's some things in these dreams where your whole emotion and visual state changes so drastically that you might be able to learn from it to say, what am I so susceptible to? So in my dreams, like I become very irritable quickly. Well, fix this in your soul prior to your passing away. So just as you learn these horrible, sometimes the lessons from our material realm, well, you can learn them from your astral realm as well. So use them to try and understand, why are you becoming so irritated, or what's bothering you, so that when you become at the end in the reincarnation trap at the end of your life, telling you these things will probably use whatever's irritating you or whatever gets you polar, right? Whether it's joy or sadness, or I've been hated so much during my life, so I just want some love. Well, in the reincarnation trap, they'll use the love to try and get you to walk back into the light. So if I become irritated quickly, well, if you enter the light, you will no longer feel angry. So try and use dreams when you can. Now, the weapons of the Matrix, I want to cover this quick. If you have not found, look out for Charlie. He's been online for years and years. You can see 402 videos. He talks about these voice of God weapons. And these are out there, these are true, where they use magnetic, like RF frequency type systems or weapons to beam literal voices into your head, right? Like, say you're out in the bush and you start hearing talking, like you're out in the bush in the random forest and you start hearing like sounds of Bigfoot, or you're sitting in your house and you start getting these beaming information from, say, the Pleiadians or the aliens, and they're talking to you. This information has been out where these weapons exist. They can use these to control and manipulate you. Another thing, astrology. This whole thing where it tries to tell you like you're determined by your birth chart. And I bet the Matrix does program based on a cyclical nature, programs the same types of repeating things into our meat suits, into our brain DNA, where we follow specific, or we're triggered by specific things, or we follow specific things. But then based on that, the Matrix can create the script that it knows what triggers you the most, because it imbued that emotional or genetic makeup into you. Poisons, pharmakia, pollution. Another weapon, poison us, make sure that we aren't able to, think clearly. Make sure that we're always sick, always searching for a solution from some, more intelligent, or, some government agency, whatever, because they're going to help us. Like pumped full of these, vaxes and chemicals as soon as you exit the womb. It's like, boom, pump them full. It's so insane. Keeping old people alive long enough to where their brains, this is sad, keeping people alive long enough to where their brains deteriorate before their bodies. This ensures that at the moment of death, I don't know if this is true, but are you conscious enough when your brain deteriorates before your body that you're able to think clearly in that moment when you have to try and get the hell out of here? Like give them daily blood thinners so that they stay alive, their body stays alive just long enough so that their brain breaks down first. It's sad if you go in to see any old people like an old folks home or something, and I hope that they're able to get out. I pray that pray. Use that word however you want. Because the word pray is like P-R-E-Y instead of P-R-A-Y. Like they prey on you. And just think about that whenever you're talking about praying. And it's kind of like, I hope that they have the ability to get out. War and famine, I don't have to talk about that. Just kill us and keep us, kill off the older generations, make sure nothing's passed down. Removing old people from the system, which happened in the last 50 to 100 years, where it's like you don't have grandparents anymore. They become like useless eaters, so they just push them into these homes away from the family so that they don't get to generationally like show us and add a collective consciousness, right, to the younger generation. Conspiracy theories, another weapon. I mean, they construct and distract and inhibit you from looking at the base programming, right? Figure out truths so that, you can feel good and egotistic, and then you can pass that along and completely keep the perpetual confusion going. False free will. I won't even talk about that. I mean, politics, voting, where you live in a world where it's like you get choice A or B, but it's really the same end choice, which is debt slavery, horrible suffering. Materialism, encouraging humans to buy a bunch of shit they don't need constantly, gift giving, all the different, all the different celebrations where it's you have to buy shit all the time. Drugs and alcohol. This is a massive one for me personally. I was smoking marijuana for the last 20 years, drinking, a case of beer a week. And I'm sick of it. I'm done with it. I can't do it anymore. It's literally, as I see through this, it's like, it's there to make you sick, not be able to think clearly. And my whole point is get out of here. Just get out of here. And the NPCs, I think that those are another weapon. I think there's empty meat suits walking around that are screwing with everybody. So here are some weapons, all good things, of course. So matrix rules, I think we have choice in the sense that the architect said that you can't have choice or it breaks the whole system, okay? I would say choose to deny demonic, archonic entities from influencing you. Think clearly, take a step back before you get angry or something. Step back, think, don't react. Deny drugs, distractions, and traps. Choose to create things that awaken you and your and others' souls. Create things that help others. Beautiful things, whatever you want to look at that as. Choose sameness, oneness, stability, and contentment. Focus on this contentment. I have trouble with this. I'm not saying I'm above everybody, okay? I suffer so much from this contentment because I am bombarded like the rest of you with the constant horse crap here. Where like I have to find a new job, all this stuff, okay? Help others and show love to others. Please try and do this. It helps others wake up. It helps others to realize that they're not just, that they don't have to go searching for something else to help them, that there's others around that will help them instead of them searching for like antidepressant. I just came off all my antidepressants too. It's been a 15-year journey of that mumbo jumbo where they push stuff that they don't even know what it's doing. They can't do any tests and all this. So help others and show other people love so that they know they're not alone and they don't have to go searching for some corrective notion in the world that is going to hurt them more. But do not help others to the detriment of yourself. The number of people that help people so much that they start sacrificing parts of themselves and parts of their own contentment, it just perpetuates the polarity. It sucks more energy. It gives more energy back to this nasty system. Don't do this. Now, let's get into some different stuff like this matrix resets. So I think that this matrix is designed to reset and be redesigned periodically once our trapped souls begin to awaken, right? So think of Agent Smith in the Matrix. He's the only one to wake up and fight to destroy the whole thing. The architect actually likes Neo, right? He's the iteration. He's the one to create the reset. He's not really the enemy. He even helps the architect destroy Smith in the end to make sure that the Matrix continues on. And it always seems to be connected with a fire and water combination. This reset, polarity, fire and water. The yin-yang, the black charcoal is the fire, the white cleaned is the water. The Matrix is older than you know. I prefer counting from the emergence of one integral anomaly to the emergence of the next, in which case this is the 6th version. So let's talk about examples of resets. So first one, like Garden of Eden, polarity of man and woman. Architect realized there was not enough polarity simply through the male-female dichotomy, create excuse of the snake and the necessity for a reset and the banishment from the garden. Possibly second iteration, the giants and the unique creatures, right? This is going through the Bible, so take your own thing with it, but this is just the ideas of how these iterations have gone on. The architect likely never perfected his perfect creation to house a soul in his first sets of iterations. So he's building these giants and these unique creatures are being created. Possibly created giants or unique creatures to see which ones were the easiest, materialistic meat suits to control and provide the necessary energy to the system. These new beings could have been designed to live for hundreds of years in an attempt to reduce the energy necessary for the Matrix to constantly initiate a reincarnation trap. So it's like, why did people used to live for 700 years? It's less of an energy draw on the Matrix itself to have to reincarnate these people. It takes energy to do any of these actions. This allowed them to learn of the soul trap when they were living for hundreds of years. Could also physically destroy the material matrix, which is not acceptable to the architect. So you talk about like the giants and all this. If they were too big, they were going around destroying the whole matrix, which isn't good for the architect. I mean, he has to rebuild it. So you can't have these. That's why we're so small and like we can only do so much. I mean, we're doing a pretty good job of destroying the place we're around now, but you got to limit us physically so that we can't destroy the thing that he's creating. And then, of course, you get the flood story and the fire reset, right? The asteroid impact that destroyed all the dinosaurs, created the tsunami. So you get fire and water. Fire and water seems to be this reset trigger, not trigger, but it's kind of like a hint that it's the reset. So let's go into more. Then we get into ancient Egypt and the pyramid building. So get rid of the giants and creatures and use the human meat suit for the soul trap. He seemed to perfected it. Like this meat suit is the perfect one. We live long enough. We're not waking up fast enough, etc. We're not big enough to really destroy too much. The ancients started to gain intelligence and over 1,000 years began to wake up. Can't have that. Reset with a flood or pestilence or whatever. Evidence of global flooding, the matrix, the Sphinx dug out. Melted components. I mean, you look in the pyramids, they talk about there's like melted steps. You go to all the ancient, Goblet tech, you go up to like the top of the mountains, Machu Picchu or whatever, and you see all the, you just see this melting of things all over the place, and then it's always combined with the water. It washes it all out. Fourth iteration, ancient Rome. Education and philosophy grows over time, and once again, the matrix is being figured out. Then we hear about the first talk of volcanoes. I don't know if you know this, but volcanoes never existed until they were recorded in, Rome. So volcanoes, worldwide destruction, fire, reset, mud floods, Jesus' tribulation, if you want to call, if you look at the 1,000-year reign of Christ story, he walks on water bringing fire to destroy the Romans. And then he walks on water, like the water thing, and then he brings fire to destroy all the people. Could there also have been a fifth iteration in this technological age up until like the 1600s? Okay, so from like 70 AD, when ancient Rome seemed to be destroyed, did humanity start to figure out energy generation, leading them to understand the realm? And then we get this thing called this Carrington event. I don't know if you've heard about this, but it's like there was an energy bolt from the sun, which created fires and destroyed all the old architecture, water flooding, mud flood, again, fire and water. Personally, I think that we're in the sixth iteration, which, if we go back to the architect, prefer counting from the emergence of one anomaly to the next, in which case this is the sixth version. So why do we see all the numbers? 33, 3 plus 3, 6. 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6. You see the sixes everywhere. Are we in the sixth iteration? And this is why we keep seeing these numbers. Matrix reset rules. Every time the matrix is reset, there seems to be allowed to be repopulated. The material realm is repopulated. They're given the ability sometimes to see partially through the matrix. I would kind of take this out, honestly. But maybe it's in there. Just to the rules of balance, they're kind of given the ability to think and observe, but they have to be given some sort of like memory where they're coming in and they're seeing all the old stuff from the previous reset, and they have to try and figure out what's happening. Sometimes they wake up quicker, and then usually they come in with a war and kill all that first generation so that the next generation can be brainwashed by the new teachers. Okay. So again, the architect says that, they reinsert into the prime program, after which you'll be required to select, 23 individuals. So is this how they reset? The orphan trains and all this back in the 1600s and that. Is that the reset where they brought in the new generation? Energy requirements. So don't think that the matrix is just free to run. Everything requires energy. So to run or reboot, like to run the matrix costs energy, then to do a reset costs a huge amount of energy. And it's like if you look at the activation energy, hold on, I'll get into that in a sec. So AI, right? If you look at AI right now, the amount of energy to run our simple computers in the new AI system is insane for the amount of energy. For simple inputs, it's barely doing anything. The data center's sucking up all the water in the friggin' ground of entire cities just to function. The architect cannot afford to reset the matrix all the time. It has to build up storage of energy before it can do this reset. It's like charging up a capacitor or battery. And there's this thing in endothermic reactions, if you know, if you've done any sort of, I went as chemical engineer, and I've heard this, this is how energetic reactions work for an endothermic reaction, where it expels energy, expels heat, etc. You need this activation energy. It doesn't matter if it's an endothermic, any sort of reaction. You need a level of energy to initiate the reaction, or to initiate the thing you're trying to create or whatever. It needs a certain amount of energy to do that. So this is where, as we're going through these resets, like we're in the sixth iteration, it's building up the energy until it can get to the point where it can then, boom, reset the system, bring it back down, where we're back into the new reset, the next iteration. And good for us, this building up of energy takes time, and this is where we as souls get time to actually wake up. Now, this is curious that I was thinking about is the Mandela effect. Just as in systems, instead of doing a full system reset, you can do patches. You can add, it's like if you look at Microsoft, right? The amount of energy took to make Excel or Word was a certain amount of energy. But then when they start patching it with smaller patches, it's less energy for them than recreating a brand new system. So can these patches, while we're going through each iteration, to patch up things to make sure that people are more distracted or create more distractions or hide specific things where people are starting to learn specific things that are waking them up, you get the Mandela effect, where the Matrix sends out patches from their energy storage that they're using. Oh, it's important enough that we patch this, that we fix this, and this is why we have Mandela effects. We know that it didn't used to be that way. Something changed in our reality. It's a fluid reality. Something is being manipulated. Now, I think our Matrix iteration is ending. Everything's pointing that it's ending. I think we're reaching the end of our iteration and we're going to see a big, quote unquote, bang. Technology is advancing. They keep talking about this so-called singularity. I mean, even Musk said, oh, we're at the singularity. It's like next year. And it's close. So black holes eventually suck in enough energy until it's a singularity is unstable and creates a new Big Bang, a new reset. So the suffering has become so intense in this current realm that souls are waking up. I mean, go online. Social media now, it's like, you go online as soon as something happens, and the amount of people that are waking up to it and being like, this place is messed up. Yeah, it's been messed up. This is why we're all racing toward. This is why the elites and everybody are racing towards this AI finality, because I think that the AI is going to become part of the next reset. They found out that this AI, could the architect be building for us our next entrapment suit? Like a new like they build the robots, and the reset, when it happens, they just plug the people into the friggin' AI robot, and that becomes our new entrapment suit. And my worry is, well, I'm getting out of here. I'm telling you, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not succumbing to their next iteration. But wait, if you come back in this next reset and you are reincarnated into a robot, it might even be harder for you to wake up, because you might not even get the emotional learning tool that humans possess. I mean, we do have the tool of emotions to feel and understand that we're living in this prison. Do you get that when you're plugged into a robot? I mean, look, robots could be even more easily controlled than a human through frequency, electrical manipulations, as well as maybe entrap a soul forever. How does a robot wake up? Eternal suffering, maybe. I mean, you look at the show Fallout. Watch Fallout. Fallout's insane. It's showing so much. Brain chips and brains connected to robotics to stop, to stop you from dying. And then the fire and water. I mean, the predictive programming's everywhere, right? Nukes, volcanoes, floods. All the predictive programming is here. Fire and water. Now this I want to talk about, which is the iPad Go 2 connection, because I have to pull it back because obviously that's what I've looked at for a while. I think it's showing us the end of our iteration, the start of the next reset. This image here, this is the last thing you see in the Matrix, in the first Matrix, when they reset, right? When the Oracle's standing on the water, like in front of the sun with the little kid or whatever, Sophie or whatever. And this is the dawning of the new day, of the new iteration, the new reset. What are we seeing in iPad Go 2? This is the Oracle standing here, looking at the rising sun. And you can see there's fire and water, the water everywhere, the reset. You see in the Matrix, we have the lake here, and the sun, which is the fire and the water, the reset. And from my iPad Go 2 deck, iPad Go 2 decodes, I put this at about 2030, and not much longer after that. I say, good luck. I mean, this new movie that's coming out called Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die. It's so insane, guys. I mean, if you want to look at the latest video from Theology Ed, I've loved Theology Ed for decoding iPad Go 2, and he's looking at all the resets. And another thing I want to talk about quickly is this primate monkeypox thing. We're getting inundated with primate programming. New movies called, like, The Primate is a new movie coming out. We got the monkeypox. We're going to have the Year of the Monkey, I think, in 2029, something like that. The Chinese lunar year, or Chinese calendar year. You can check my old decodes. It tells you exactly from 2025 out to 2030 what all the years are. I think we're going to get a monkeypox thing, just like the CV that we had. This is my last thing. I'll end it here, and we'll come back with other stuff. I know that Heliofant just released like 10 new videos and all this, and I don't know. I'll have to go through it. I mean, we had Maduro with iPet Go 2, you know, where Pepito's laying in the Juanita, right? The guy with the little heart tattoo. It's being flooded by what looks like water, but oil. iPet Go 2 is playing out literally as predicted. And 2026 looks like year of the war, the Four Horsemen. The year of the horse is here. And then next year will be the year of the goat, the greatest of all time, the greatest war of all time. And I think that might possibly be some sort of, like, quote-unquote mark of the beast that comes. Because nothing's new under the sun. Again, the AI can't create originality. They just recreate, they rehash. And the mark of the beast is another rehashing of what's been done before. Donnie Darko. Craziest movie. One of the craziest movies ever made. If you've not looked back into it, go back and rewatch this. You'll see resets and timelines and everything I can't believe it was made back in 2001. So, movie released on October 26th. Let's look at this countdown in different ways. So if you look at this, it's always talked about, it's 28 days, 6 hours, 42 minutes, 12 seconds. Well, let's just switch it back Let's switch it back to maybe 28 years, 6 months, 42 days, 12 hours. If we take the release of the movie on October 26, 2001, we add the 28 years, this period, we get June 7th, 2030. And in Donnie Darko, it's like, this is when the world will end. Is this time when the system resets? And if we go back to iPet Go 2, I've said the movie seems to end in 2030. So we're getting another confirmation here. Now, recommending channels, I'd say, is my mistake, but I'm going to do it again. If you want to look at this monkeypox connection, the Hell Realm, I suggest finding this guy. His name's Flex G on YouTube. All the channels that deal with the Hell Realm sometimes get very extreme. I try and limit that because I find that we still have to share love and stuff in this world to just make it through day to day. You can't live in just perpetual anger and all this, but he's got an amazing take on it and connections that he's making with the monkeypox and the coming mark of the beast and a lot of stuff like iPet Go 2, where it's like, we're going to get the goat, the year of the goat, which is going to be the greatest of all time, the great test of all time. So I won't steal anything, or, I might share some more information from that side, but go check him out. I want to thank you guys if you made it through this long. This is just insanity. Like I said, I've been going through absolute shit for the last 6 months, having to change this nasty place up a bit so I can make it through a few more years until I'll probably have to change it up again. But try and resist this matrix where you can. Try not to use their systems, their AI, I refuse to work in a job now that will make me use AI. It's insanity. It's destroying us. And I hope that you guys get something out of this. Please leave comments. And if you guys are very stuck on your, religious views or whatever, and you find this insulting or whatever, that's for you to look at. Again, it's kind of this whole thing of contentment. And are you feeling this extremes of suffering or anger versus love or whatever to things that people are saying. You can share with me what your thoughts are. I love hearing them. But I don't need any nasty comments or anything. I won't delete anything. I don't delete anything off this channel. And I will not delete the old videos where I talk about any of it, because this is a journey in my own sense as well. Thank you guys so much. Hope to see you soon.